In this video, I'm going to teach you how to build your own wrestling mat, which is good for jiu-jitsu, judo, wrestling, whatever you want to do on it. 3 things I'm going to tell you about: how to build it, then how to clean it, and then the pricing for everything. Alright, let's get into it. Here's my starting floor. Okay, so we're going to start with plywood pieces. The way I do it is I have them sectioned out. I have 6 different plywood pieces that I have on the floor. Okay, the measurements for mine happen to be 6 feet by 4 feet. Okay, yours might be a little different depending on your measurements. So I start with this plywood piece and I get it cut at the store before I bring it in. I first lay down my plywood piece on the floor. I lay it down and then I glue on my carpet padding. I cut my carpet padding to fit my plywood pieces, which you can also get at maybe a flooring store. You can get at Home Depot, different places, okay? So I cut the padding to measure this to fit with each of my plywood pieces. For mine I have 3 layers of padding. Each of my layers of padding, my carpet padding, floor padding, okay? I take my fabric glue, this 3M glue, but just whatever, something that's multi-purpose adhesive, and I glue each layer of padding, all 3, onto the board, okay? First I glue one to the plywood, then I glue the next piece to the padding, and then the other final padding onto that padding, okay? When you're gluing the padding to the plywood or the padding to the other padding on top, the first thing you want to do on every time you glue a piece of padding down is you want to make sure you get all the edges good, okay? You want to get all the way around the edges, okay? Make sure you have a good layer of glue, okay? With that spray, you're going to spray it all around. Then for the rest of it, you don't have to cover it too thick, okay? You're just going to waste glue and waste money, okay? Just do cross sections, alright? You can do little cross sections all the way across, and maybe you can do a little cross section here if you want, okay? That's going to keep it on, and that's going to work well. So this is the whole thing that's covering the entire floor before I put my mat on, okay? This extra layer padding is going to make a huge difference in, the comfortability when you do your shots, takedowns, your throws, everything, okay? You're going to want to have this extra 1.5 inches of padding, or however much you want to make it, depending on how much carpet you buy, or how much carpet padding you buy. You can make it that much thicker. But this will help you. It's a cheap way to get your mat, much more comfortable. If you just put your mat on the ground, it's going to be painful if it's just on the cement. So you need this extra padding, okay? So this is my base floor, okay? I put all these for mine, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I lay them all out, and then I put my mat on top, okay? And that's gonna make it a lot more comfortable. Alright, so after you build your floor with the plywood and the padding on top, next step is you're gonna wanna make your frame, okay? This is just a 2x4 piece of wood, and mine, for my measurements, it's 12 feet long. So you have your wooden 2x4s, okay? I have 4 pieces. It's going to do 2 things. It's going to create a boundary for your mat, which is kind of nice, okay, when you get to the edge, okay? And it's going to create a frame to hold it in, everything in, okay? Without a frame around, your mat's not going to work out. It's going to slide off and it's going to be a mess, okay? So you need to have this frame. What I also did with my 2x4 though is I didn't want just a piece of wood, my feet hitting a piece of wood on the side, okay, because that could hurt, okay? So I took the extra of my padding that I had and I cut it in strips all the way across. Then I just bought a ton of duct tape, and to make it look kind of nice and uniformed, I just did 1 layer. I didn't wrap it around like that. It's 1 layer, okay? Wrap around just like that, okay? And I wrapped it. You want to make sure the tape goes and wraps and grabs the other side of the tape. You can make the back side look ugly and this side look clean, so it all looks nicer, okay? This side doesn't matter because it's hidden by the mat. But you want to wrap it around. Make sure the tape touches the other part of the tape. You want to make sure you get full coverage, because if it's just sticking on to the wood, then it could come off later, Alright? Another thing you want to make sure of is when you're in the store buying your 2x4, make sure you lay it on the ground flat. The part that's going to be laying on the ground in the garage or wherever you have your mat, is make sure it's flat. Make sure it's not bowed out or up, okay? You want to make sure your wood's flat as possible so everything fits snug and that you're not going to have any problems like the plywood, you know, of here coming out because this side's bent, okay? So make sure it's flat as possible. Another thing to make sure is make sure your 2x4, do some measurements, okay? Just make sure it comes up, you know, at least to the same level as your mat, okay? When you have your padding and your mat, it's gonna raise everything up. So make sure your mat doesn't come over the top, okay? You want it high enough so when you push in, when your mat moves, it's gonna hit your 2x4, okay? And it's not gonna come out. Another thing, for your 2x4s, okay? When you figure out your measurements and you have them all lined up and everything's even, okay, you want everything flush, okay? It will be nice. You don't want any of the 2x4 sticking out extra, so just make sure you cut off those parts if you didn't have your measurements perfect, okay? But also, I tried various things, but what works best to keep all my 2x4s connected and the frame real strong where it's not going to come apart is about like 2-inch long screws. I screw it, I leave a little bit of space open for my padding, okay, and I screw it two screws all the way into the other one, okay, going about 1 inch or 2 into the other piece. Right, that'll make your frame really secure and it's not going to go anywhere. And then later, when you want to if you ever want to disassemble, move the mat somewhere else, okay, it's real easy to just unscrew, then take everything off, roll everything up. So this is the best way to do it right here with these screws. The final step, easy part, okay, is just laying your mat in. And if you measured everything right, it should fit in nice and snug, especially with that padding on the side. It'll squeeze in nice and tight. Stuff the corners in. Okay. Walk along, okay? You're just gonna roll each of the 3 pieces or whatever kind of mat you get, roll it in, tape it up, okay? Tape it up, have a buddy help you tape it up, have someone walk on it as you're pulling the tape and rolling it through, okay? And that's pretty much it. I would recommend not building any kind of mat on your own, just buying one online. Shop around, go on Craigslist, look around. I got mine for like 600 bucks, 12 feet by 12 feet. But you just gotta look around, shop around for the best deal. Building it on your own with like tarps or however different people do it is kind of shitty. I think this is the best way. The mats, whatever different manufacturers make, like these are the good mats. Okay, they're the most padded. They feel super comfortable to roll on. Okay, if you're a wrestler, it's what you're used to. Okay, these are the good mats. Puzzle mats, other different types of mats. I personally don't like them at all. Wrestling mats are, to me, the best martial arts mats you can have. Okay, they're smooth. They don't rub on your skin too much, and they still have enough grip. Okay, that you can be barefoot and do whatever you want to do on them. Do Jiu Jitsu, you know, kickboxing, judo, whatever. So this is the mat to get. Now on to how to maintain and clean your mat. First thing you want to buy when you get your mat is some mat tape. Okay, you want to go online, probably Amazon, and buy some wide mat tape. Okay, the widest you can get. It's going to adhere better. It's going to stay better. Okay, when I bought this mat, it came with its own mat tape, but it was cheap. It was gunky. Okay, I wouldn't recommend it. Buy some high quality, wide mat tape. Okay, I'll put in the description below the brand for this one. Okay, so you have your mat tape, you have your good mat tape. Next thing you want to get is just like a little swiffer, okay? And then I would recommend just getting a small one. You don't need a large one, okay? Especially if you have just a 12 foot by 12 foot mat. You want to dust everything down. Get all that hair and dust off, okay? If you just do it with your mop, you'll just end up pushing a lot of it around. So you want to dust off your mat first. The next thing you want to have is mat cleaner, okay? And you can put it in a little spray bottle like this and just spray it around. If you Google wrestling mat cleaner, you'll find all the products. Mix it in, dilute it with some water, okay? So you save it, because sometimes that product can be pretty expensive. Next thing you're gonna get is a mop, okay? Get a little mop that you can take off and put it in the washing machine. It'll be much easier to clean like that. Don't get any stringy mops that are attached to the handle, okay? You want something that you can throw in the washing machine, okay? So whatever you buy, something that you can remove and wash, okay? So you just spray down your whole mat and then mop it up, easy. And that's how you clean your mat. Alright, so now I'm going to talk about the pricing. The mat itself, I bought online for about $600. Then the carpet padding underneath, with all the layers I had, it was about $100. Then the 2x4, the plywood, all that stuff was about $100. And then the mop, the cleaning products, the glue, like somewhere around $50-$100. Okay, so the investment for having a nice, good quality mat is going to be somewhere around $800-$900. You know, because you're not going to just buy the mat; you're going to be buying everything else to make it work out well. So when you go and you want to thinking about getting a mat, make sure you think about the investment that you're going to have to put in. Make sure you're going to get a lot of use out of it, because it does cost some money. So that's my how to build a wrestling mat tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions about the processes, the pricing, or anything about this mat, let me know in the comment sections and I'll respond. All right?